Does Bones' new mecha anime have what it takes to throw down with the big boys? Find out in my review of the first episode of Captain Earth. So, the first episode of Captain Earth. It's a show. I was really looking forward to this one because Bones has a huge reputation of delivering some of the greatest animated sequences, and they're known for their action series, but also great storytelling as well. And I have a feeling that Captain Earth is going to evolve into something really special. There's a lot of potential for this show. I'm just not seeing it too much from the first episode, and that's only because if you've seen a mecha series before, guess what? You've seen Captain Earth. It pretty much has all of the stereotypical tropes. You have your main character whose dad died, and he died by going onto this mission, like this Armageddon-style mission, where they go to the moon, which has this big-ass crystal exploding out of it. I don't know why, I'm sure it's going to be explained much later, but his dad dies, and then he grows up a little bit later, and then he goes through this sequence where, of course, he finds the robot, and just like in any other, mecha series, they're just going to randomly hand over this massive, super expensive death machine to this kid who's never even piloted it before, and that's exactly what happens. But it's all saved by some really cool sequences at the end of the episode, which I think are actually really unique for the series. In particular, the sequence where the main robot is actually firing off into space, it actually is attached to this rocket, and it has all of these different pieces which have to come together. Think of it like Voltron, but it's still a little more mechanical in a sense. It kind of reminds me of the sequences in the Iron Man movies, when you see Tony Stark actually having all of the pieces of the suit go in his body, you see all the bolts go in and twist around, and then they all conform to his body, and that's kind of what happens here. And then you get this big robot, which I guess that's Captain Earth. Maybe that's the name of the robot. Maybe it has its own separate name. I really didn't catch it in the episode, but that's where the episode ended, where you got to see the big robot in all of its glory. And it looks cool and everything. I just wanted to see a little bit more. But there's also this whole other sequence where you get to see, which I'm guessing this is the bad guys of the series. They're these weird neon-haired futuristic-looking characters. And they have these really, really cool mechs where they get into these cockpits, which throw them through this transporter, which sends them into space. It's a really crazy-looking sequence. It's animated really well, and it's probably one of the best parts of the episode. And it sends them flying through space, and then it transforms them into this hybrid of a machine and a human, which then has another robot on top of that. And you get to see the one female characters this week, and of course it's pink, but it looks really sleek and awesome, and it looks like these guys are going to be the main thread of the series. But otherwise, that's pretty much all I really have to say about the series at the first episode. You know, like I said, I think it's going to change as the series goes on, because there's also this other concept in the series where it goes back to this main character Daichi, who's having these flashbacks of this kid and this girl that he met in this underground base. And this one kid by the name of Tepe has the abilities to create friggin' rainbows in his hands. I don't know what that's about. It's going to turn into something because there's a whole thing with rainbows in this series, which, again, first episode, they're not telling us anything. And then there's the girl who's hanging out in this weird water bubble. And I just can't help but be reminded of the series Code Geass and think of the character of Cece when they rescued her in the very first episode of that series as well. It's just, if there's one thing about Captain Earth that I like, it's definitely the unique stuff with the robots, but everything else, all the storytelling, and obviously some of the artwork of the characters, I just think is kind of generic, but I can't really judge it really at whole. You know, I need to see the next couple of episodes and see how it's going to evolve. What I will say is, I hope it changes soon, because the first episode was frankly kind of generic, and after seeing this, I kind of want to check out that other new mecha series, which I believe is called Break Blade. A lot of you guys have been recommending that to me, so I think I'm going to check that out next. Because, frankly, if I don't like any more of this series, I'm not going to review it, because I only look at the shows that I like. And this is one of the few shows, before I started reviewing it, I was really struggling, even to come up with something to say for the intro. And I think that's a problem. And, I don't know, maybe my expectations were up a little too much for this brand new show, but I don't know, just I was expecting a little bit more, maybe. But still, I still think you should give it a watch if you're a fan of mecha series. If you've never even seen a mecha show, maybe this is your chance to finally get into one, so you can see it. It will be fresh if you've never seen one before. But if you've seen a lot of shows like Gundam and Evangelion and Code Geass, this is all going to look exactly like that. So maybe it'll get better in the future, but we'll just have to wait and see. So check it out. I'm not going to give this one a score yet. I'm going to check out a few more of the episodes, but I am going to follow it as it goes on its weekly basis. So there it is, guys. Check it out. Before you guys leave today, if you did have a chance to check out the very first episode of Captain Earth, I would love to hear your thoughts about it. Am I wrong about the series? Am I missing something that's just amazing here that I'm just not catching? Or did you think it was kind of a boring mecha show? And before you guys leave, make sure and give this video a like so you can help this video out a lot. You can subscribe to our channel so you can see all of our brand new content. You can also check us out on Facebook and on Twitter. I'll put links to both of those in the description box below. So, I'll see you next time, guys. Super Kami Guru 9000. Out. For my most pessimistic first episode review